All right, in typical me fashion, I am filming things out of order because I've already been filming for a couple of hours this morning and realized I had not done an intro. So here we go. Welcome, guys, to today's vlog. My name's Abby. This is my practically imperfect life. I am a homeschooling mom of two. I have two high schoolers, one who's going to be a senior this year and one who will be a junior. Here on my channel, I take you through our homeschooling through high school journey, share different resources, and I also like to highlight things about mom life and organization and DIYs and home and garden, just anything that I find interesting. I say, you know, forget the YouTube algorithm. If I find it interesting, I'm going to post it. And that's just what I do. Anyways, though, today I wanted to do a little bit of a vlog, and I'm kind of doing a dual person filming day because I'm filming some lesson planning. That's going to be a separate video. But there's just a lot of other things that have to happen too. The last couple of months have just felt crazy. They've felt crazy. We've had a lot of curveballs thrown at us. I talked a little bit about them. I did a June goals video and I talked about that. And if you watch my goals videos regularly, you'll notice I did not do one for July. And that's because I kind of like dive bombed most of my June goals. It was, there was a lot going on in the month of June, and I was having a really hard time adapting to my new work schedule and still maintaining the same level of productivity I was having before. And I'm getting a little bit better. The schedule's getting a little bit better, but today especially is going to kind of highlight some of the changes I'm going to need to make, and the way I need to really focus in on my days off to be able to stay caught up on everything. So for those who are totally new and don't know anything about my background, so I am a working mom. I work outside of the home at two different jobs, and then I work from home as well. So my primary employment is as a nurse. I work at a hospital unit. I work night shift there 3 nights a week, and then I work a part-time job about 16 to 20 hours a week. It just kind of varies. So I have those two outside areas of employment. From home, I run a from-home baking business. I've done that for about 10 years. This is not like a crazy one where I'm throwing out like 20, 25 cake orders a week, but I do several orders each week. It kind of ebbs and flows depending on the season. And that's just something that I've done for years. I always called it like my hobby job because I make money from it, but it's not make or break, right? And then, of course, I have the job here on YouTube. I've recently launched a shop page a couple of months back, which is always linked down in the description box, where I share different homeschooling resources that I've made. Some are free, some have a cost to them. I wrote my first curriculum this year. I'm working on writing a second one. Just, you know, I'm busy and I like to be busy. That's just my nature. I have ADD, and if I didn't stay busy, I'd probably lose my mind. This is how I manage it. Anyways, today, let's start off with just a little bit of what needs to happen today, because I'm just getting off a three day in a row stint at the hospital. So I worked 3 night shifts in a row, and I felt like I got absolutely nothing done on those days. It's because you basically get home, you go to sleep, you get up, you have a few hours, and then you get around, you go to work again. But I had to add into that the fact that Emma had a golf tournament, and I really wanted to be there for that. So, you know, I spent a couple of hours at her golf tournament, which cut into my sleep. So yesterday was actually my first day off. So I worked a Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I had Tuesday off, and I had gotten home, and I caught like a quick cat nap. And then I was trying so hard to power through yesterday. I worked through a lot of things on my to-do list, but I had the worst headache, like the worst headache. We've had a lot of rain, some really bad storms, and I know that impacted it, but I think I was just so sleep deprived. And I was going to film yesterday, and I thought, oh, I'm just miserable. So today I'm feeling a lot better. I actually got some decent sleep last night, and, you know, today's going to be a good day. So here is what is on the agenda today. First and foremost, I have a whole bunch of things that we've been harvesting from the garden that we have to get taken care of. Most of it is zucchinis, peppers, garlic. I've got to get those things taken care of because I've got more stuff to go harvest out of the garden. We have to, well, go walk the garden and do some harvesting. The rain has made it really hard to get out there. We've had a lot of heavy rain days. There's a lot of things that need attention out there. desperately need to trim back my daisies because they look awful. They are the one perennial I have not done a first bloom trim back on. They look terrible. They've got to be trimmed back. So we just got to get that done. Would I love to get out there and weed today? Yes. Am I going to have time? Probably not, but we definitely need to do those other things. I also need to go cut a ton of flowers. I have a big cut flower garden, and there is a funeral that's going to be happening at my church in a couple of days. And we always do like a luncheon. And I can't be there that day to help with the luncheon, but I offered to put together like mason jar bouquets to put on all of the tables. So I need to go cut a bunch of flowers, and we're going to make a bunch of little mini bouquets and go get those dropped off at my church. That's some of like the garden stuff that needs to happen. Homeschooling wise, one of my goals in June had been to get this homeschool room deep cleaned. And I had to like stop mid-project. It's just June. June was just not my month. Anywho's, we have got some cleaning to finish up down here. Bookcases to finish getting organized. We have got some homeschool materials to prep. I'm going to show you how I put together some of the workbooks for my kids and some of the things for me, just how I'm going to be organizing all of that. We're going to get things put away and where they need to be. And then I'll kind of be filming again a separate video. We're going to go through and do some lesson planning and get a couple of subjects knocked out. I'm really hoping that I can get at least 4 subjects knocked out today if I'm really good about it. Then I have some things to do for my baking business. Now, I don't normally share much about my baking business on here. However, I thought I would at least show you guys some clips of some of the things that I'm working on, because I have 4 cakes that are currently chilling in the fridge. I baked them yesterday. I got them crumb coated. So they're just waiting for me to do all the final decorations on them. And I thought you might like to see some of the stuff that I'm making. So I have 4 very distinct cakes to make tonight. And I want to try to get them done tonight. I technically have tomorrow to work on them as well, but I go back to work tomorrow late afternoon, and I'd rather have them done tonight if I can. And then that way, like my whole day until I go to work tomorrow is just kind of a free day. So that is the big plans today. We've got some outdoor stuff to do. We have some homeschool stuff to do. We have some cake decorating to do. And I will definitely stop and we'll chat back a bit more on some of these kind of adjustments and challenges with being a working mom and just kind of what that means in the homeschool world. All right, first of all, I have to tackle all this zucchini because for some reason I thought I needed to have 5 or 6 zucchini plants out there, and we are swimming in it. Well, I figured what I'll do is I'll chop up most of it just into some like stir-fry size pieces. We'll put them in some gallon-sized freezer bags and freeze it, and then we can pull it out and use it for whatever we decide to do. I mean, we'll turn some of it into zucchini noodles later and shred some for like zucchini bread and all of that good stuff, but we've already done quite a bit of that. So this is just getting chopped because it's quick and easy, and I can get it in the freezer fairly quick. But I still had this massive zucchini left, and I was trying to figure out what to do with it, and I saw that you can do zucchini chips in like a food dehydrator. And I have a food dehydrator, you can see it behind me there. I mostly use that for drying sugar cookies that I'm decorating with like royal icing, but why not try it for zucchini chips? Now you're supposed to use a mandolin to do even, thin slices, and I didn't have one, so I just did my best. And probably this whole thing would work a little bit better if I had a mandolin slicer, and also if I'd used a slightly smaller zucchini. But I sliced it up, and I had a variety of different seasonings that I put on it. So I had like a ranch seasoning, a lemon pepper. I had a veggie mix that I got from Rosebuds, which is an organic seasoning brand that I absolutely love. In fact, I'll link them down below if you want to check them out. Amazing, amazing seasoning blends. And I just did a sheet of all of the different flavors, figured we could try them, decide which ones we like, so if we're going to do this in the future. But you can apparently store these dehydrated zucchini chips for months on end and have them be fine. So I figured that would be a good thing for us to try. Anyways, they go in the food dehydrator at 140 degrees for several hours, and we will see how they turn out. Next was processing the garlic that I had grown this year, and by processing, I just mean that I'm taking all of the cloves out of all of the skins, and you can see here some of them, and I just put them in a bag and freeze them. And again, you can just pull out what you need when you need it. Quick and easy way to save your garlic. After all the veggies were done and that was cleaned up, I decided I was gonna start tackling that homeschool room, starting with the bookcase project. This, I think I made it far too complicated for myself because I was trying to figure out how I was going to best organize all of these books. You know, we have books that we have saved from years past, we have new books, and you can see I'm kind of thinking and rethinking my decisions multiple times while I'm running through this project, but oh, it needed to be done. That took far longer than it should have, but I feel like I'm out of space already. Okay, here is what we have done, and hopefully will work. So my son is doing a whole bunch of novels for literature. We're going to put all the ones he's doing up here. That's most of them. I have a few upstairs. And then there's one that I thought it came, the Children's Blizzard, but I don't see it on there. So I don't know. I'll have to double check. He's going to be reading books throughout the year. They're going to go there. These are all just my reference books for some different things. They're books I used when I wrote my curriculum. Ones I'm using for the curriculum I'm writing right now, just some other reference books. I have all of his books for his Guest Hollow American History Year 1. And it's actually, I don't know, it's a fairly reasonable amount of books for, you know, they tend to have a lot of books for their courses. And I feel like this is not too bad. Sorry, the camera's going to be really shaky because I think I need to go eat. These are all books for my daughter's anatomy class, the anatomy and health course she's doing from Guest Hollow. And then I've still got all of the ones for government econ personal finance. So my daughter used that last year. That's a Guest Hollow course. My son is going to take this course next year. So I didn't get rid of any of those. I wanted to save all of them. And then on top, I have our bigger reference books and a couple of my son's Lego sets. He was running out of room in his room, so he brought a few down to decorate the space. Let me just get in a better view here. Okay, I have world history books. Most of them are nonfiction. There's a few fiction ones, but I figured I'd be more likely to remember where they're at if I kind of grouped them together. The majority of them are books that he used for Whirlwind World History this year. I just wanted to keep them together. And then like there are ones from food science, and then it kind of flows up into there. Again, just wanted ones that I wanted to keep. Our other science reference books. So we have a bunch of books that my daughter used when she took botany from Guest Hollow, and we loved them. Again, wanted to keep them. Got some books on bees. We've got some culture books, just like on different parts of the world and different cultures. Some are from the Geography and Cultures course. Other ones are just ones we've collected. U.S. history books. These are not ones for the Guest Hollow program. These are just ones that I have collected over the years, books that I've read or have been wanting to read. We've got more general history books. So some of these are ones that I just grabbed that looked interesting. And a couple of them my son used this year for world history. And then I have all of our classics. So my group together classics, basically anything that I thought you could categorize as like a, I don't know, classic literature or I mean, they're not, I don't know. I mean, some of them are more modern books, right? Like A Streetcar Named Desire, To Kill a Mockingbird or whatnot. But like the, you know, like the must-read books in life kind of thing. So got all those down there. And then over here are all of my kind of fiction books. So more my books than anything else. And then some book series and stuff like that at the bottom. So we added a whole nother bookshelf. That whole one on the left is new. And we got a little bit of space. I mean, I was able to make a little room over here where I could add some more books, but no, it's pretty full. And I have a feeling there's books that are missing off of here. But that project is done. On to putting away our new curriculum. Okay, so next step is to get these drawers filled with the new curriculum. Now I had a 9-drawer unit for each of my kids, but my daughter doesn't really need it this year, so her stuff's just gonna go in her desk. There's like a side drawer on her desk, but my son's still gonna use these this year. Now I have the labels on there from last year. It's removable vinyl. I cut it out with my Cricut last year. I got to get that all pulled off. Now I didn't want to do the same thing this year because it's so much weeding, and then you got to, you know, do the transfer tape and yada yada yada. Instead, I just want to design like a print then cut vinyl. I have printable vinyl, you know, just something that's like a nice label with the subject name on it. So I'm going to design something really quick here on Cricut, get that cut out, we'll get these relabeled, and then we'll get the new curriculum in there. Thank you, Internet, for allowing me to find out that if you use a heat gun, you can easily remove vinyl that just is being stubborn. It's just a few seconds with the heat gun, and these peeled off incredibly easy. Now let's finish this space. Doing a little check-in on our zucchini chips. They're not quite crispy yet. They're still kind of like that, you know, chewy stage. I mean, some of them are getting close. The little ones are getting close. But yep, we're just gonna keep letting them go for longer and we'll see how they do. I think they've been in here for about, what time did I get them in there? Maybe 3 hours at this point. So I think we're gonna have to wait to go out and cut flowers for a little bit. Just a little bit. Oy vey. However, the flowers are loving the daily rain. See if you can see in the corner there. Oh, so pretty even when it's raining. Okay, I found a hiccup in my plans here. I was gonna go ahead and get all of the workbooks, so the one for my son's US history, all ready and cinched together. So I use the cinch machine or the cinch binding machine, and it basically allows you to do something similar to a spiral binding at home. And it's, once you purchase it, it's so inexpensive to then spiral bind notebooks. However, I didn't realize I was out of coils. So I'll probably just order some off Amazon. And until then, I will go ahead and I will print out, I've got his workbook pages, I'll print it out. I'm just gonna set them in the drawer and then I will bind them, you know, when it comes. But other than that, it'll be okay. Now, all of my teacher materials this year, I'm gonna try to condense them down into 1 or 2 binders if I can. Now, I know I can't do it with like big solution manuals and things like that, but things like test packets and then like the teacher guides for my guest hollow. Last year, I spiral bound them as well, but I think I'm just gonna put them all in 1 3-ring binder and just have them all together. 1, to save the spirals for like the things I need to make for the kids. And 2, I just wanna be able to like pick up 1 thing and take it with me if I'm doing planning somewhere other than at home. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get the teacher materials into the binder here and keep on keeping on. Once my binder was done, I was putting together my son's English binder. Now he is doing a bunch of book and novel studies as opposed to a set English curriculum this year. And I've downloaded most of them from Teacher Pay Teachers. I like to print all of them off at the start of the year and get them organized in the binder. That way I'm not rushing around to find things and print things off in the middle of the school year. And I just printed off some covered pages that I put into the binder to separate each of them. But everything is now ready to go for his English curriculum and ready for us to lesson plan. And finally, after 4 hours in the food dehydrator, the zucchini chips were done. They actually turned out pretty good, and I have to say that we are fans. I think we will definitely do this recipe again in the future. The rain has stopped and it's somewhat dry outside, so I'm going to attempt to get the outdoor stuff done super quick. I'll show you why I need to turn back these daisies, and then we're gonna go out and we're gonna harvest a whole bunch of cut flowers. So, sorry, sun is right in my eyes where I'm choosing to film. Okay, so the daisies have gone through their first flush and they just need to be sheared back about halfway. They'll bloom again, just not as thick as they did initially. And I have more daisies over there and over there, but they looked really pretty. Oh, you can see the hydrangeas are starting to bloom and everything. I love this flower pot. It is one of my favorites. Anyways, they're the last of the perennials that I haven't done the first trim back on. So let's get after it. All right, I'm getting distracted, but can I also say how much I love how this has filled in here? So these are the Supertunia Mini Vista Yellow or something like that, lemon, but they are so pretty. And they were so teeny tiny. And they've kind of grown up onto this pot, which has, I believe these are some type of super bella, I'll have to look it up. So it kind of just looks like a mass. And then the clematis looking super happy that I gave it a trellis this year. And then all of the Supertunia Vista bubblegum. Just loving that whole view. Well, that's much better. I mean, they're just leaves now. However, I noticed that quite a few of the stems had already set a second bud. And so I cut down above those buds. And this will give the plant a chance to recharge a little bit. And we'll get another round of blooms just not as big as the initial round. And look at my little hydrangeas finally blooming. These are the mini ones, Firelight Tidbits. And then over yonder are the primes. That's another view I really like. We have flowers. Snapdragons, Baby's Breath, Feverfew, marigolds. Yes, I'm aware that a lot of them look bad. They were so weighted down, they were crushing the eucalyptus that's planted next to them. So I just cut some big branches and I'll pick out the nice ones. We've got some Status. There are some straw flowers in here somewhere. Rudbeckia. Yeah, straw flowers. A couple different types of dahlias that are finally blooming. Look at how big that is. Oh, I'm so excited that the dahlias are starting to bloom. They are my favorite. Some really pretty wispy cosmos. So I'm gonna do my best to create some decent looking little mini mason jar arrangements. Okay, that took longer than I anticipated, but we just have some different mixes here. Lots of snapdragons because that's what I had tons of in the garden. This one's got some mix of flowers. Look at this dahlia. Oh, I love the dahlias. They have such a short vase life, but goodness, aren't they pretty? Got some cosmos. We got another big dinner plate dahlia over here. And then a wispy mix of just different things. Anyways, these are gonna go over to the church. I'll probably run them over there first thing in the morning, but I'm gonna get them out of the way, give the kitchen a quick clean, and then go to work on some cakes. All right, so here is where we're at with today so far. So we got the garlic and the zucchini stuff all taken care of. Zucchini chips are done. Those were good. Daisies are cut back. The bouquets are done. The cakes all have their kind of their final coat on them. I mean, kind of like, well, there's the crumb coat and then there's kind of the base layer of frosting. And so we've got the decorations that need to be added onto that. So I have one that needs to be covered with fondant. I usually do the fondant work last because I hate working with fondant, but it's a necessary thing for this one. I've got to make some like fondant and gum paste decorations for one and some chocolate decorations as well. So they are all going to chill up in the fridge for a few more hours till they're really good and firm, and then I will put the kind of final decorations on. If I don't remember to film it, I will at least make sure that I show you guys pictures of everything. That's kind of what happens with this baking business, is that, you know, you can't do everything all at once. It has to be spaced out into steps. You know, usually I have like a baking day where I will spend half the day baking everything for that week, and then it's always a giant mess. It makes a huge mess in the kitchen when I'm making a bunch of frostings and everything, you know, because you have bowls everywhere. You have all these different colors. Powdered sugar goes everywhere every time you make frosting. I've been doing this for over a decade and I still can't figure out how to not make a mess in the kitchen when I do it. But then you get crumb coated, get cakes crumb coated, and then they gotta chill. And then you put the base coat on, and then they gotta chill. And then depending on what kind of cake you're doing, like the different types of decorations just take a different amount of time. So it's, you know, it's really one of those things where if I get done, I like to kind of do a quick clean of the kitchen, make sure what I've been working on is all cleaned up. So like after I got those coats on all of the cakes, I went ahead and I cleaned everything so it's all ready to go for when they come out and I do the next round of decorations. And I've got the frosting already made up. I figured I'd make all of the frosting I needed all at once. So it's just one mess with regards to that. But then, you know, in between those times, it's utilizing that time wisely. And so I wanted to take a moment and chat a little bit about this balance of being a working parent and a homeschool parent, or even just a working parent and being a mom in general, because, you know, you might be checking out this channel and not be homeschooling. It's hard. You know, it's hard to be a stay-at-home parent for sure. Like, I have so much respect for parents who, you know, stay home and they're managing their household and they're working with things with their kids. But I can't deny that there's just an added, I don't know, stressor. There's just an added quirk to life when you work, whether that's from home or outside of the home, because it's a chunk of your time that is pulled away from your family, and it's pulled away from your household and from your spouse, and it's dedicated to something else. Now, granted, you know, you're earning an income which your household might need, but it is time away. And so you do have to evaluate, like, is it worth it? So I mentioned at the start of this video that I work multiple jobs, and I think people go, that sounds crazy. But it's necessary right now where we're at in life with what we have coming up expense-wise, things that we know are going to be happening. You know, we're going to have 2 kids going to college, one right after the other. And even with scholarships, there are other expenses that need to be covered. And I would love for my kids to not have any loans to take out. I would love for them to be able to graduate from college and not have that to worry about, so they can really start off life on a good footing without all of that debt behind them. When we do things, whether that's a home remodeling project or a trip or something like that, I want to be able to pay cash. I do not want to rack up credit card charges to be able to do those things. So it does require work and saving to be able to make those things happen. And so working is just a necessary thing. Now, what that typically means for me, especially with the way that my shifts and things like that have worked between like the hospital and my other jobs, is that I really do have to make sure that at least some of my days off are really dedicated to being as productive as possible. Today, for example, I was tackling things for, a volunteer project for the cake business in the homeschool room, lesson planning, filming for YouTube, doing a lot of cleaning in between that I wasn't filming, taking care of the garden. Like, there are things that I had to get done. And it's a lot to cram into one day. And guys, I'm not going to lie, I'm exhausted and the day is not over yet. But it's necessary to have a really productive day, so that way I can have other times during this week where it's more relaxed, where I can do, different things with my family that might be a little more relaxing. Like I want to go and hang out at the lake with my kids. I want to go and watch them golf. We'd like to have, a night out where we go get ice cream and things like that. Now, could I, and this is a me personally thing, like, could I maybe do some of these tasks on one day and then have some relaxing time, and some of these tasks on another day and relaxing time? I could, but the way my mindset works is that once I'm in work mode, it's a lot easier for me to kind of stay in that work and productivity mode than it is for me to like stop, do something, relaxing, and then try to get back into it. I'd rather have a day where I'm just really powering through things, and then have a day where I know that, hey, there's really not much I have to take care of, and I can like fully focus on my family and everything like that. That's just how my brain works, and what works best for me. And you got to find the balance that works best for you. Maybe it's a half and half. Maybe it's spacing out your tasks a little bit more. Hopefully you don't have to work a whole bunch of jobs, and the time balance is a little bit easier. But I have noticed, especially since starting this most recent nursing job, that there's a lot of difficulty in just my energy levels and balancing things, especially on those days I work. I recently found a fairly new YouTuber called, what's it called? Making plans or something like that. I'll try to find it and put the name up here. But she does planners, like how to organize your week and organize your planner and all that stuff. And I love paper planners and all that stuff. But she did this really cool thing where she figured out task hours, and then she has color-coded like Post-it notes for different categories of tasks, and really breaking things down into different steps, and then figuring out how many task hours she has on a day, and then which things she can fit into there. So she's not making like a crazy to-do list that she never is going to get done. Instead, she's only putting things on there that she knows she has time to get done. So if a task is going to take an hour and she's got 5 task hours available that day, that fills one of those, and she's got 4 left. And so she looks at each day, how many hours does she have that she can put towards these things, and then she plugs them in. And I thought that was a really cool way to look at it, and I'm trying to kind of make something similar. I have a big section of my wall down here that's empty right now. And I thought about just using some washi tape and some Post-it notes and see if I could kind of create like a big version of that with all the different categories for what I'm trying to manage, and see if I can do a better job of like pulling tasks to different days based on how much time I have to dedicate to them. Because I really, on my days especially where I have hospital shifts, I feel like there's so much that I'm just not doing, and then I end that day feeling, I don't know, feeling a little bit like a failure, like I haven't gotten the stuff done that I need to get done. But if I planned out kind of the overall week a little bit better and said, hey, I know I've only got one task hour on that day, let's only plan for things that, will fit within that. And then maybe I would feel better about the week. Maybe I could organize myself a little bit better. It's just, I'm at that stage where I've just got to make a few tweaks to how it is I'm balancing all of the things. And I think every once in a while we have to take a moment and kind of reevaluate how we are managing stuff. So anyways, being a working parent is hard. That's the sum of it. And I have to remind myself of why I'm doing it, and I'm trying to make the most then of my kind of like my free days or my free evenings when I'm with my kids and my husband and things like that, like just really trying to enjoy those times. And that's not to say that even on a busy day, I'm not, having quality time with my family. My kids don't prefer to be on camera, which is why I don't show them a ton here. But even like today, when I was doing stuff in the kitchen especially, my kids were both off screen and they were talking to me while I was doing things. Like they sat down and they were telling me about their day, what they had going on. My daughter had to go to a golf thing, and then she was working tonight, and my son was doing some reading, and then he was working out and stuff like that. But they made time to come in and talk with me. They knew I was working on these different things, and they also know that like I can't go anywhere when I'm in the kitchen, like working on cakes or something like that. So it's a great time for them to sit and just kind of tell me all the things, and so we can have a conversation while I'm doing that, and so that's really nice. Yeah, anywho's, where am I at with things? We are going to switch gears. I'm going to film my lesson planning portion of the day now that the basement is done. It's clean. Fairly clean. It's acceptable. And then we will go back upstairs and finish up the cakes and wrap up this day. And yes, it is coffee. I know. I should be drinking water at this hour, but I'm still feeling very much on night shift mode today. All right, let's get this all done. All right, totally random, but I've been sitting here on the floor for the last like 20 minutes filming. Does anyone else have this problem where like your feet fall asleep if you sit cross-legged for too long? Because both of my feet are asleep. And I can't stand up yet because they're both numb. So I'm trying to get the blood flow back into my feet so I can stand up. # turning 40 problems.